Hello, listeners, and welcome to the 39th episode of the Heresy Accountability Buddies podcast. I hope I'm right at counting. If I'm not, that's not my strong suit anyway.
I'm pretty sure you're right. This is the 39th.
This will be a fun episode. My name is John, and tonight I'm joined by
Duncan,
Jack,
and Jamie.
Yeah, we're we're a little low on host tonight, gentlemen, or ladies.
We're adultless.
But yeah,
we're unsupervised.
Unsupervised, rudderless, whatever other fun words you want to say. We're fired.
No, we will not use other fun words or any fun words because those would be bad.
Yeah.
We want this to be easy on Jacob because we love Jacob.
And he does all the editing.
So first we're going to go through a bit of hobby updates, what everyone's been working on. I know I've been cracking away at some stuff. Then we've got some news in the Games Workshop world, and some new Heresy news, some new Titanicus news, and some other stuff that's coming down the pipe. And then we're going to start the Iron Warriors fluff section. So we're going to get back onto the Legion podcast episodes. So the first episode tonight will be for Iron Warriors fluff, and then next time we're going to get an Iron Warriors player on here to go through and talk about some of their favorite units and go through and talk about that. So I guess to kick off hobby progress, Jack, what is it? I will start.
We have to get an Iron Warrior player on here. If only we knew somebody who happened to have 27 Iron Warriors carrying an Iron Warrior Batwing, Flying Guppies, Iron Warriors, Quad Mortars, Siege Tyrants. What could somebody tell me the name of the guy that only had one eye?
Don't know any of those people.
Kervalen,
thank you. If only we could have somebody on the podcast that could tell us all of that.
That sounds like a really cool idea. I you know what? I think we should get more Ultramarines players first, though.
Yes.
in case anyone is misunderstanding, I'm having a spasm.
Yeah, I was going to say, Duncan's having a seizure right now.
Playing the game. Let's all watch the little vein in Duncan's head.
Yeah.
I'll start hobby progress. So this week I went to Home Depot and got some Masonite cut down for building bases. While I was working on Adepticon terrain, I really didn't feel like building half-built Risa Ruins and Sector Obscurus and whatever other weird names they've come up with for that kill team terrain. I just kind of threw it all in a box. I'll be completely honest. I just did not care. It was going to be too much work for Adepticon, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And so I decided I bought 2 giant 8x4 sheets of Masonite, got it cut down into roughly 3 pieces, and then brought that home, and my wife and I teamed up to cut it down into kind of 1-footish squares. And then from there, I've started gluing the little L-shaped Risa Ruins into 4 corners, and then adding a bunch of the scatter terrain that I have in abundance from broken models, broken GW stuff, random shapes found on walks. Pretty much anytime the word terrain comes up, that's where this box is just full of stuff that's nice and basing material and things like that. So I've been gluing all that stuff together. I'll be posting some of those pictures of that stuff. I got 8 of them built, I want to say. A lot of buildings come out of that. And then I realized that that's going to be a lot of work to paint again because I did shove it to the side. So I decided to do something a little less involved, and I started building 4 Spartans at once.
Are they the new ones or the older ones?
Yeah, they're the new plastic ones, so at least I don't hate myself entirely too much.
Sometimes I think I'm crazy, and then I measure myself against things like that.
But Lee, did you decide if you were going to paint the interiors or not? Because on the new ones, you just have to kind of paint like that front vestibule area, opposed to the whole.
Yeah. I sprayed interiors before I left for some family time tonight with some other stuff going on, and so I've got those sprayed like a dead flesh primer. I also picked up 2 Typhons and the Artisans of Vol conversion kits to turn them into Cerebuses. And so I'll be able to paint all 6 Spartan chassis at the same time in the next couple months to kind of keep everything together. And you're thinking now to yourself, John, you promised you'd only work on half-finished projects. What happened? Well, I realized that the Kratoses are half finished, so I might as well have almost always all finish the rest of the tanks that happen to fit in foam trays on top of the Kratos foam tray. So I will be painting and decaling 3 Kratoses, 4 Spartans, and 2 Typhons / Cerberuses at the same time in the next couple weeks. As I wait for, this is the reason this whole thing got started, as I wait for some of the pre-ordered paint that I got from AK, their diorama dry brush paint. I've been seeing some amazing reviews and found some really cool how-tos on knight skeletons and medals and things like that. So I decided I was going to do that for some of the updated knights that I've got. That was kind of the other thing I went through this week, and I built a spreadsheet of all of the knights that I have, all their weapons, all their upgrades, all the chassis and everything that I've got there. Broke down fairly well. I've got 8 armatures, all built, painted, and base coated on the skeletons. I've got 2 gallants built, base coated on the skeletons, and I've got 5 other knights that are built, base coated, and I've got 2 unbuilt knights that are kind of just built, not base coated, not primed. And then I've also got a lancer to go along with that that's built and base coated. And then the other silly thing that I did this week was I went ahead and built a Forge World order, and he's going to be sending me 2 more lancers and a Castus and a Megara. I think that's the ones, the machine gun one and the flamethrower one. So I'm going to have at least one of every Forge World Knight.
Castigator and Castigator and
yeah, so I'll have at least one of each of those by the end of next month, and I can start doing silly things with that. So that's been my weekend hobby. Nothing major. Jamie, how about you?
So I just at this point have said I'm just gonna forgo sleep because like nothing's getting done otherwise. And I've actually I know this is a shock. I actually finished a squad of Inner Circle Knights finally. I got 5 done, and then I've got like another 5, probably 80% done. And then once I've got them all done, I'm gonna seal them and do the my dust weathering, Mars dust weathering, like I do on everything I've got in my Dark Angels army. And then I also started on another Land Raider Proteus to go with the one I've already finished. And I started base painting 3 what do you call them, saber tanks. Yeah, because like I have like about as many as John probably does actually. So to do, I've got like I think 12 of them now. But anyways,
that's more than me. I've only got the 9 because that's all you can take.
Yeah, but I was not going to use them all for the same army.
Oh,
I think 3 were going to be for my Night Lords, and the other 9 were for my Dark Angels. So, and then I started getting in Toys for Tots donations, and just throw a thank you to Dan for his generous contribution that he sent this week. We've got some speed. I got a speeder and a Sarkarian for the White Scars, and then I've pretty much got all the Word Bearers, HQs, and Demon Allies, and Primarch, and anything Word Bearer that had like a name to it is on the way. Should be in pretty soon. So like White Scars, we're just kind of needing some more fast attacking units. And
so I've got your decals boxed up. I never sent them off. So before I do that, I'm going to ask, do you want me to send along some Rhino chassis and some other stuff like that to go with that? Or is there anything specific you're looking for?
Rhinos would be good because I think that would go good with White Scars troops. I mean, just kind of moving them around fast attacky. I suppose, I mean, they're not really fast, but that would kind of be fluffy for them at least. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
So I will accept them if you are willing to part with them.
Okay, I will make your box.
And then I actually yesterday I ran out of a couple colors of paint, working on my inner circle guys, and I spent the better part of half a day driving around town to all the different hobby stores trying to find 4 colors of paint. And I finally did. I just had to end up getting them at multiple different places. So that was my hobby this weekend. And I will hand it off to Jack.
Oh, this is going to be easy and fast. My computer crapped the bed this week. So my hobby time has been spent getting my computer back up and going and figuring out everything I lost. It was some type of error in Windows, gave me the blue screen of death. So I had to recovery and yada, yada, annoying thing, yada. I think the worst that I missed, that I went missing, was a couple of pre-sliced files for various things that I have backup of, and some pictures that I do not have backup of family and stuff like that. That's the crappiest part of it. Outside of that, yeah, that's basically it. Nice, easy, breezy, beautiful, and cover girl Duncan. Duncan, what have you been working on, buddy?
Oh, not much at all. For the past, I don't even know how long I've been working on this guy, but I'm pretty sure I began on the beginning of the month. I decided to build a Delvaris conversion based on the Little Legends version that Miles did up, and I have put forth maximum effort into getting this guy painted. A little bit of conversion work, got a shield on him, changed out a whole bunch of arms, clipped this, changed that, added this, warped this piece of resin with hot water because that's the only way to make it work. Did a lot of stuff converting him up, and then painted him. I don't even want to know how many hours of work I put into getting him done. I think it's somewhere north of 22. Doing just his holsters because I was determined that everything needed to be just right. Just the holsters alone took me almost an hour of work for a holstered pistol and 2 holstered magazines.
Hey man, I get it. With it's taken me those capes for those inner circle guys. It's like 2 or 3 hours a cape.
Yeah, I feel insane for doing this, but I am beyond happy and proud of how he turned out. I finished him and his base and his shoulders and his holsters yesterday. Posted pictures in our group and in the RFI chat about him because I actually did him up for the RFI contest. And then I spent today converting a Cargos Bloodspitter to be a Primus Medicae. And yeah, why am I like this? I don't know. I really don't.
You're knocking out of the park with these name characters, man. I wish I would spend more time on stuff like that, but for me, it's more just I want to do more infantry, more line troops.
Yeah, I have a pile of line troops and 2 no-name chaplains over there that I need to work on, but I don't feel like working on them. So I reread Betrayer recently, and I'm like, you know what? I'll go ahead and redo this. And then I re-listened to the Echoes of Eternity, and Kargos is a giant character in that one. So I was like, I need to make Kargos now that I've made Delvaris. So I've chopped him out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 different kits to make him. I've got
it's like my super rhino.
Yeah, that's how my my first Legion champion was. He was like 8 kits.
I've got World Eaters, the old World Eater kit head. I've got an old World Eater kit torso. I've got a set of breacher legs. I've got 1 apothecary arm, a different apothecary arm. The hand for his close combat weapon, I took a Mark II power mace and chopped the mace head off of it because it's got a longer handle on it. And then since I used a Karn body for Delvaris, I used Karn's Gorechild axe to make the chain axe on top of the mace arm, or on top of the mace handle for this guy. And then I went through the plastic bits from my Prospero box, and I found a plastic paters, and I chopped that a bit up to make the leather crotch guard and dangly bits.
If you need, I have tons of them. Like, just you
Yeah.
know,
If you want to
No.
make bigger dangly bits, I've got some scroll cases that could be some real bigger dangly bits.
I've got dangly bits that I can throw on here. I just haven't found the ones that actually I think would look best yet. But I've also gotten out an empty holster because he's got a holstered pistol, and I got out a magazine pouch as well, and I'll hang those on him eventually. And I've got an apothecary's backpack where it's got that tall stand to where it looks like an IV bottles in it. So I think when I get done finish kit bashing him together, he's going to look good, and then I'll have to paint him, obviously, and at that point he'll start looking terrible. But beyond that, I have done nothing else of importance other than unpacking my bags from Adepticon because I left them all.
oh, I did that too. I'm finding stuff that I didn't realize I'd actually get brought home with me. So.
There you go. But that's about it. That's all I've done. So I will pass it on to nobody.
There's nobody
We're
to pass
done.
it
Nobody.
All right, so let's take on the controversial discussions this week. So this Heresy Thursday, which according to the article itself may be the last Heresy Thursday we get for a while, we got revealed, probably in my opinion, one of the most bland models we've seen in a long time in the Librarian console. There's some really cool bits on there. I really like the casty hand. I like the Mark VI helmet and the kind of Illuminati third eye look of the bear head. But there's really no psychic hood on this model.
It's like a collar. It's like a psychic.
That collar really looks like it's from Chonkers, the big Praetor that came from the main box set. So I wonder how much this character is a copy paste off of that.
That kind of reminds me of like the what do you call it? The new squat guys.
Yep. Yeah, he's got a bit of that with the kind of recessed head.
Yep.
Area. But yeah, if you didn't tell me this was Librarian, I would have trouble saying it's Librarian.
You would say he's a Space Marine crossing guard. Like,
yeah,
no, I actually don't. I actually like the model. I mean, there's tons of memes about it already and stuff, but I actually do like the model because it is kind of plain. It doesn't have a whole lot of crazy, weird, oddball, flim flam, hanging off stuff. So
yeah, I didn't expect it to be like here's 14 books stapled and the words of Lorgar carved into his skull, but it is kind of
it is plain. It's plain,
very plain. But yeah, I like the cape. I like the casty hands. Parts of it I really like, but it does really look like they're using that same Praetor model and copy pasting a lot of it. What do we want to add on to that?
I don't dislike the model. I actually we've been crying for a lot of the not special characters, but the various Centurions come out for a while. A lot of people have. And the only Librarian we've had for a long time at this point is the Terminator one. And
well, isn't there the one that was like casting is it a demon out of his hand that like really old? Or is that a Terminator one?
There was that special edition one, that came.
It was like there was one that was like summoning like a demon or summoning something out of his hand.
Yeah. But I don't think a lot of people had ever actually gotten him. I know I certainly didn't.
Yeah.
But looking at this guy, he's not bad. I don't dislike him. I'm not 100% certain I'm going to put him together and do him justice, but I'm definitely going to get one just so I can have it. And I have no idea where I'm going to use it.
Word bears.
I don't want to paint word bears. I have no desire to do that.
Well, I mean, if you're doing characters from books, we're like
no. See, I'm not doing characters from books. I'm doing characters from Betrayer. Because my World Eaters army is entirely based around the Battle of Armatura.
And so all those Librarians had to unlock Angron.
So if I get him, I'll probably make him into Eska, who's in Karn's command squad, and figure out how to do that, which I think would be kind of cool.
Yep.
See, I have no issue with this model.
No, I mean I don't have an issue.
I'm not saying it's the end of the heresy.
Yeah, no. I was giving my 2 cents on it. I think the shoulder pad with the like reinforcements on it is fantastic. I kind of wish I could get that shoulder pad by itself. The cape's good. The backpack's good. Like I'm all for getting more models. 100%, absolutely am. My only thing that I could ding against it is I'm not the biggest fan of the style of the neck. It makes it look like the new squat models a little bit too much for me. But I'll be picking them up. I wish he was in plastic. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah,
I wish he was in plastic, not resin. But that being said, please give me every other, version Delegatus and Master Signal and everything else that we don't have.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the model. I mean, it's just it's a little plain. I mean, it's Mark 6.
Well, no, I'm happy that it's a little plain compared to the HQ models that we got in the box set. I thought those were just going a little bit too
over the top,
over for me. But that's my personal taste. If you like it, more power to you. I'm not going to yuck your yum. I'm happy that this one's a little bit calmer when it comes to it, so we can jazz it up our own way.
So like the Calth,
I agree.
The Calth HQs were pretty plain Jane, let's say, and then the two with and then you got literally name specific ones for Prospero that were a little harder to convert if you wanted to. But I agree. I totally agree with you. This gives you plenty of options if you want to make it your own, basically.
Yeah, which is what I like doing.
Yeah,
cool. So the other thing that came out today was the announcement for next week's pre-orders. Adeptus Titanicus is getting a campaign compendium. And so what they're doing is they took all of the older Titanicus campaign books, Titan Death, Doom of Moloch, Shadow and Iron, Defensive Ryza, and Crucible of Retribution, cut out the narrative supplement sections of those books because all of the Titan Legio rules in those books are now old and out of date, and then put them in this 224-page book.
Yep.
So it's an interesting purchase if you missed those books before. Otherwise, it's kind of a miss for a lot of people. Some people are hoping it's going to have some updated rules for knights, but it just looks like it's just going to have those rules for those campaigns.
Here, did anybody see the was it Vastor, the Arcfanon model?
Arcfanon for the Arcs of
Omen.
40K.
That model is freaking insane, and I kind of want him.
Well, he's been out. He was in a larger set for a while.
Yep.
Okay.
He just dropped this week.
This is by himself.
Yeah, as himself.
This is the first time I've seen this model. I kind of dig it.
Yeah, he came with like a kind of like a demon engine box.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend is actually starting a demon infused Mechanicum army, and so as a kind of help him along with all of his stuff, I'm going to pick up a Vastor so he can use it as his HQ choice, as his priest.
If I were making a Dark Mechanicum army, I would probably find some way to get him and convert that up into some demonic thing. But since I'm not going to. But I do like the model.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The other thing that's coming out next week that can kind of also be used with Vastor would be we're finally getting the conversion beamers for the Titanicus, the Warlord, the Reaver, and the Warhound scale ones.
That I can dig.
Nothing like running a Warhound across the table to hide in a corner and snap out some psychotically large conversion beam shots at people.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yep. That's going to be fun. I'm going to have to pick up a few of those myself. That's really all of the releases that we're getting over the next couple of weeks.
I mean, they did kind of a little more announcement with the librarian saying that the you're getting Imperial Milita and then Demons of Rimstorm, what do you call it? Exemplary Battles coming out.
Yeah. And well, so they said that, but then they also said that they're going to be canceling the Thursday updates for a while because Warhammer Fest is coming up and they want to save some stuff for Warhammer Fest.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks or something like that from now.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, and we'll keep everybody updated as it comes out.
Yep.
I'm actually, I mean, I know this will sound bad, but I'm actually kind of glad that they're doing a pause, because if they're going to do like a whole bunch of big reveals at the event, I'd rather they get thrown there so they actually have something, so there's more hype, so that people get more excited, rather than just, oh, and here's this week's normal Thursday release.
You know, it'd be awesome. You know, it'd be awesome is to go with the new book that's coming out. They kind of do a second box set with stuff that people have been requesting for a long time that I shall not say anymore because I'm not complaining. I'm being
Plastic
positive.
Thunderhawk.
Yeah,
yes, Plastic Thunderhawk.
Some characters would be cool too, like some names.
Yeah,
few choices and stuff like that would be really cool for that as well.
I personally would love a resculpted Abaddon.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
Yeah, or they maybe start doing some of the other the Demon Primarchs, since they've actually got all of the normal Primarchs done, which was what the plan for Forge World a while back was. They were going to go through all the regular ones and then do late war ones. So
yeah, I mean, we've got late war Horus, which fits.
Right.
I don't know if I want the Demon Primarchs yet. The only thing I'm absolutely certain of is, as I've said before, I do not want Big E. I don't want him anywhere on a table in front of me or in front of anybody else in the game. I think that would just really break my immersion beyond words.
I will admit I haven't looked at the Custodes rules, but I remember 1.0 they actually had some mention of the Big E in the rules.
Yeah, they were originally planning to put him out.
So did that carry over into 2.0? Because as I said, I haven't looked at
not that I've seen.
Okay.
But I've only stuck to a limited section of that book.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want to see him on the tabletop, to be honest with you. I like him more in the background as the whole Deus Ex Machina. Ooh, Big E. Everyone's scared of him. He might come out and smack you on the patoot. Right. I don't know. I don't want to see him and then watch him get eaten by someone who has multiple squads of 10 last cannons and just gun the Emperor down into ignominy. I don't want to see that happen. And I know for a fact it would.
You've seen my dice. You know he would die to bolt pistols.
Yeah, that's exactly where he would.
I wouldn't make my 2+ invulnerable save with him or whatever he's got. I miss every save.
Yeah, I just don't want to see something like that happening on a tabletop. I mean, I'd love for a model, but I don't want rules. I don't want him in a game.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I've picked up a few of the different models out there. Some of the 3D sculpted ones. Some of the company that was making Primarchs before Forge World was.
Kabuki or whatever.
Kabuki.
Yep. Yeah, I've got probably 4 or 5 different Emperor models, as well as a couple of big busts that I picked up recently that I showed off on the chat. But yeah, there's some neat stuff out there for the Emperor. And yeah, like you said, I wouldn't knock a model, but yeah, with my dice, I don't want to have rules for him.
Yeah, see, that's all that matters to me. No Emperor, no Big E yet. Thanks. We'll just carry on.
Yeah, the whole crusade fails day one because Emperor walks out, stubs his toe, fails his
2-up rerollable invulnerable save.
Yeah, terrain roll and just dies right there. Rolled. No.
That somehow sounds like most of our dice rolling today.
Yep.
And every day.
So with that in mind, since we're talking about terrible people in the world, let's move on to Iron Warriors.
If only we had an Iron Warriors player on the podcast.
I can call Alec. He plays Iron Warriors.
Do we have one?
I mean, nope. We don't have anybody who's played Iron Warriors on here today.
All right, let's all stop and have a Highlander 2 watch party, and we'll call it a night.
Woo! So what was the woohoo about? I didn't hear anything.
Jacob's gonna just make that a long bleep sound and just
Yep. I'm just not gonna.
Heard nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
So the Iron Warriors, the Corpse Grinders, the one legion that is, when it was originally created on Terra, was recruited primarily from what used to be the Northern and Southern American regions.
So they're rednecks?
No, it's worse. They were originally recruited from, I think it was the plateau of Amrek or something
Never
like
heard of
that.
it.
Yeah. So it's kind of goofy, but they were recruited from the gun tribes, the tech enclaves, and something else. And that's pretty much they're recruited from the North American cowboys and rednecks. Yeah.
So Texas and California?
Arkansas to the southeast?
Appalachian hillbillies and rednecks.
Yeah, pretty much. Because the mountains have obviously been worn down over the years on Terra, and the plateau would be like the Appalachian Mountains, which have already been wearing down for millions of years already.
Who would have thought a legion that actually likes lots of big guns would have been from the United States, specifically from the southeast?
Yeah, it's absolutely shocking to me personally, but it's also kind of funny to me. So there's that. Obviously they're one of the original founding legions, just like all the legions are. But they were used on Terra in the final battle where all the Thunder Warriors died, except for the ones who didn't, because they keep showing up in books and we all get annoyed by them. They were also one of the legions that had the strongest and most hardy or adaptable gene seeds. So they were able to go through a lot of adaptation and be able to be stuffed into more and more recruits. So they're actually a large number of them. They had a very, very large founding amount of legionnaires when they actually went out into the galaxy to start, pillaging, destroying, and reclaiming all of humanity's worlds, and the rest of them that we hadn't gotten to yet. They were part of the subjugation of the moon. They received a whole bunch of extra gear and new weapons and everything from the allegiance with the alliance with Mars, between Mars and Terra. And they then went out into the galaxy and earned the name Corpse Grinders because, hey, you have big guns and you have lots of big guns. Why not just shoot the enemy to death? And so they did so. And they did so a lot. And it literally became known for siege warfare, trench warfare, and these very slow grind over the enemy's dead bodies through sheer attrition. It's kind of how they came to be. It's kind of what the the Iron Warriors are about. So eventually they got a horrible reputation for being unimaginative because it's, oh, look, land, blow everything away with guns, grind forward, blow everything else away with guns, grind forward, reach and rinse and repeat. And so people stopped liking to be deployed with them. Like Legion or a section of the Imperial Army did not want to work with them because it was, oh, they're going to make us dig trenches. Oh, they're going to make us put up breastworks. Oh, they're going to make us sit here and be cannon fodder trying to go over the wall and break into this whatever enclave. And they didn't want to do it. So they literally were sent penal units and other garbage troops who did not want to have anything to do with them. And eventually they kind of got pigeonholed into doing that only. And they started getting kind of grim, losing a lot of personality. They lost a lot of humor. They actually developed a very dark and dry sense of humor, according to the lore, which leads to one of my favorite jokes. That there's a part in one of the actual books that talks about how low their little humor they have, and that the fact they have hazard stripes everywhere is a signifier of that, because it's a very grim joke to them, and stripes to them is the highest form of humor. And then it's a meme, obviously. It's got then the two weird faces, one going stripes, the other going haha, stripes, haha, and then both of them laughing with tears on their face going stripes. I personally find it hilarious because I like the Iron Warriors. but a lot of people think it's just kind of a boring legion. To each their own. Eventually, they grind their way to Olympia, and there they find Perturabo, the angriest inventor in the galaxy who never gets any of Daddy's attention. And he sees his men, he sees his legion, he sees how they're pretty much just corpse grinders, and he orders, after reviewing their combat records, he orders a decimation. Decimation meaning where 1 in 10 members of the Legion were killed, and that was drawn by lots. And out of each squad, 1 man was selected to die, and he was beaten to death by the other 9 members of his squad. And they were done without honor. It was done by their friends, and they weren't using weapons. They were literally beating them to death with their hands. The Emperor got informed about it happening. He told everyone who had talked to him, which was primarily like generals, admirals, etc., about what happened. He told them, leave it alone. Let him do what he's going to do. It's his legion. Let him do what he needs to be done. And Rowboat Girly Man, who's definitely not the prime arc that 2 people in this cast today play, got really, really at it. And started off, before he'd even met Perturabo, hating him, which is fine because Perturabo's used to being hated. So then he started refining their weapon, their ways of warfare, and making them even more efficient at trench warfare and siege warfare. Because while the Fists got to build everything, the Iron Warriors got to destroy. And what Perturabo had deep down in his very, very crunchy, reviled heart was the desire to build stuff. And no one ever let him build anything. So he was angry all the time. And that's why he became resentful of Daddy and ended up joining Horus. There's a lot more to it, but I'm just giving a summation.
It seems like literally it is what it is, the Legion.
Yeah.
And then eventually it is what it wasn't. And then it do what it do. And it seems like he got to crying more. So it's
kind of sad. It's kind of ridiculous in some ways, kind of lame in others. But all he wanted to do was create and build and invent, and he did that on a small scale. I mean, he's responsible for the Typhon siege tank. He's responsible for a lot of things in the lore, but he wasn't allowed to be the builder, the creator he wanted. He was used as a weapon, and that wasn't to his original liking. It's not what he wanted. But the Emperor said, "You were made for war. This is what you will do." And then he got saddled with this bunch of North American and South American rednecks who love guns and like blowing stuff up, and said, I can handle this, and went ahead and did his thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems really weird that he was okay with it until he wasn't okay with it, and then he was kind of about it.
Yeah, that's kind of a big point. A big part of that is he was okay with it until he wasn't. And part of the reason he wasn't is because he got tricked. He got sent back to Olympia. I can't remember why. I have read the book, but it's been several years. So I'll have to ask you to forgive me on this.
Sister playing politics, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was sent home, and he had to reconquer his own homeworld. And in doing so, he pretty much destroyed the entire planet, murdered 3/4 of the population, enslaved everything. And then when he got done, because he had put his own home planet through the Iron Warriors' method of warfare, he sat down, he looked at it, and he said, poop, look what I done did. And then said, well, Horus don't want to be friends with Daddy anymore, so I'll go help him before they find out that I've messed up this entire world out of being a obviously, like I said, there's a lot more to it. But I've been playing Iron Warriors since somewhere around 95, 96, when the 2nd edition Chaos Codex for 40K came out. And the reason that I picked the Iron Warriors over the World Eaters or the Black Legion or any of the others at the time.
Easier to play?
Nope. I actually had a really screwy reason for it, but I'll elaborate. When I was growing up, most of my circle of friends and people who I was in school with, most of us had grandparents who had fought in one of the world wars. Typically, that was the Second World War. I was one of the only ones who had my grandfather fought in the First World War. And trench warfare was always something that had fascinated me because, hey, my grandfather went through it. What was this like? And then I found this legion of gun-loving guys who like big guns and like trench warfare. And I was like, ooh, that's really, really interesting. I think I would like to know more. Plus, they had, a really easy paint scheme. And so that was kind of why I chose them. That's kind of why I stuck with them for years and years, well over 2 decades at this point. And why I've been an Iron Warrior player pretty much ever since, even though my Iron Warriors are at this point retired and have not seen a tabletop in going on 4 and a bit years now, maybe 5. I'm not really sure anymore. Yeah, there's the Iron Warriors. In summation, real quick, not a deep dive into the lore. Sorry if I'm not going to do that, but I'm not.
Yeah, and they've got, expanding a little bit. I've read most of the Heresy books, so Perturabo's book kind of delves into a lot of that internal infighting history of Olympus being really like the Greek Warring States period, where everyone is fighting for little pieces of their democracy / subjugation of people. And Perturabo is also a little weird that he can always see the Eye of Terror no matter where he is.
Yeah, that's kind of wonky. I never really quite understood that. But he's also the one that named the Eye of Terror as the Eye of Terror.
Yeah, it was just like the maledictum or whatever it was before that.
Yep.
And then also there's the smashed a clockwork warhound into Fulgrim's face and everyone cheered.
Yes, because Fulgrim was there to get him to go to the Eye and get something called some nonsense that was Eldar that didn't actually exist because
it was just stealing his soul, basically.
It was Fulgrim literally trying to steal Perturabo's soul and be a
just being like Fulgrim.
Yeah, just being Fulgrim. So Fulgrim, at the end of it all, the Angel Exterminatus is what it was, and that's the name of the book as well. And at the end of it all, Fulgrim becomes a demon prince of Slaanesh and is doing it because he thinks he's sacrificing his brother. And in the end, Perturabo's like, no, and just doesn't get sacrificed because he's stubborn. The book wasn't really the greatest, but it's a decent one.
Yeah, he pulled It's Also a Hammer without saying it's also a hammer.
Yeah. He survives and goes on to lead his legion to the assault on Terra. There's a whole bunch of stuff he does during the actual heresy, and I'll touch on a few small bits.
Let me do one real quick. I just remembered that Lucas's favorite bit from the actual assault on Terra is when he's trying to figure out plans that Dorn won't figure out, and he goes, "Give me our dumbest here. He will lead the advance."
Kroger. Yep. And Kroger was a member of the actual the Trident, which is kind of like the Lupercal court or the Mournival for Horus. It was Kroger, Foryx, and I can't remember the name of the last guy who became eventually in 40K time becomes just known as the Warsmith.
Yep.
But Kroger was pretty much just a line legionnaire who broke a fortress, made it up to the top of the fortress, fighting the Imperial Fists when none of the rest of his squad or his company or whatever did. And then Perturabo got there with his Iron Circle and smacked all the remaining Imperial Fists around. And Kroger's Warsmith gets up there and is like, "Look, this is done by my boys." And Perturabo's like, "No, this is done by that man who doesn't work for you. You're not a Warsmith anymore. What's your name? Kroger, me like Chainax." And he made him the Warsmith, which was really kind of wonky. It was, from my read of it, which I've read a couple times, it's literally just a way to shoehorn characters from 40K into 30K and give them a backstory. And I get that. I dig that. But could have picked a couple different ones, a couple decent ones. Kroger's pretty much a corn berserker without a brain.
It's prequelitis in a bit. We don't need explanations for everyone. There's a bajillion Space Marines out there, we didn't need to know. You can imply that Kroger was high enough rank to care, but not high enough to get singled out.
Yeah. A lot of stuff could have been done. A lot of stuff wasn't done.
Oh.
But I'm not complaining because it was an actual book pretty much entirely about the Iron Warriors.
Yep.
Other than just the Perturabo book. And yes, I did enjoy it. And as I said, I've read it a couple times and I have an audio copy as well. And I still love the Iron Warriors, and I always have, and I always will. Something about mechanized warfare, the Siege of Talorn, the Siege of Terra, the Battle of Fall, all of that stuff is stuff that I really love, really enjoy, and I like the lore for, and I've always enjoyed the Iron Warriors for their lore, their fun on the table with big guns and trench warfare and everything. And they're just a fun legion I like to play. I just haven't played them this edition, and I didn't play them much at the end of last edition because my army to me became boring, and I didn't want to feel bored playing the exact same game over and over again of, can you solve for all the strength 8 pipe lights or all the strength 8 direct fire shots? It just became not fun.
So the Iron Warriors became the Iron Warriors?
Yeah, I really I turned my Iron Warriors into a full up Iron Warriors list. It just was not fun for me to play. And while I liked them and while they looked good, I just got so overly tired of solve for strength 8 quad mortars.
They were very smashy facey.
Yeah. It wasn't fun for me. And Jack, who plays it a lot, Jack, was it fun for you to play against, sir?
At the end, not very much.
Yeah. So that was when I kind of stopped and took this Matt Cain painting class and started working on Sons of Horus, and then working on World Eaters, and started doing more and more, not Iron Warriors. And so the Iron Warriors have sat and gathered dust. But I still really like the Iron Warriors and the grim little guys. They're just angry, bitter. Kind of fits me personally. So here we go. And Perturabo is the one who Horus put in charge of the entire destruction of Terra's and the solar system's defenses. And he was the one who did the fire ships that breached the line. He was the one who crushed his way through and designed the actual strategy that crushed their way through Terra's defenses, through the solar system's defenses, and made their way to Terra. And then he was the one who was in charge of the siege, the landing, the troops, the beatings, the mauling of defenders, and literally the destruction of the defenders in whole against Dorn. And it became, in his way, a giant game of 40K playing against, or I guess a giant game of 30K, him versus Dorn. Dorn having all these defenses in depth and him literally smashing his way through them, or around them, or over them, or under them, is as he needed to. And it works, and it's fun. The Siege of Terra goes wonderfully. Remember, I'm a trader player, so that's why I think it goes wonderfully. And then Abaddon comes to him and says, "Hey, I found this weakness." And Perturabo was like, "Yep, sure is. I know about it. Pretty sure it's not going to be a good one, but you can go ahead and try it if you want." And the Saturnine Gate Gambit happens and fails. And shortly after that, Perturabo gets angry, starts to sulk because he's not being properly appreciated by Horus, and says, "Screw you guys, I'm taking my legion, and we're going home."
We're going home.
And instead of going home, they went to, I don't remember the actual planet's name.
Wasn't that the Iron Cage?
That's the Iron Cage incident. After that, he takes off to somewhere and basically fortifies a planet with nothing but trenches and barbed wire and minefields and interlocking fields of fire. And after the heresy is over, during the scouring, he says, "Dorn, come and get me.
Bring it."
Because Dorn says, "I will bring him home in an iron cage," or bring him to the Emperor in an iron cage. And that is what caused the Iron Cage incident to get its name. And so Dorn drops on this planet with his legion and walks away with a chapter. And Perturabo sacrifices all this gathered up gene seed and becomes a demon primarch of Chaos Undivided, I think. Yeah. Not that it matters. I don't play 40K. But Perturabo's an angry dude. His legion's a bunch of bitter guys. and I love them, and I think they're fun to play, or I thought they were fun to play. And I've made a couple lists for this edition to play with them, and no, I don't really feel like playing that this edition as well. So I've been trying to figure out how to play a different type of Iron Warriors this edition, and I have so far not found a list I'm happy with that I want to sit there and make work for the guys that I already have built and new guys I might acquire and paint. So instead of even touching them with paint or brush or putting them into my box to take out and play with at a game, they sit there gathering dust, pulling garrison duty in my basement, just like they did garrison duty on so many planets, and got bored and became angry and bitter and started pushing buttons and accidentally nuking their neighbors. The end. Duncan's version of the Iron Warriors 1.0.
I think we're going to have that's basically all she wrote for this episode. We're going to have a nice short one tonight. Anything else anybody's working on or doing? I know that we're getting next episode. We need some Iron Warriors battle data. So I'll see if I can reach out to a couple people I know that play Iron Warriors, and Duncan can add on to their experiences.
We can do that. Like I said, I do have a couple lists I've made up for them, but they're not really ones I would consider friendly or fun to play with or play against in a regular game. So that's why I don't use them. The one big thing about the Iron Warriors is guns. They love guns. They love artillery. I mean, they're just as good in hand-to-hand combat as any other Marine. They're just as good in shooting as any other Marine, but they just do it to excess, which fits and is how they are. And all the lists that I've made for them take that to excess and do way too much shooting way too often. And that's why I don't want to play them. But like I said, I love the list, or I love the Legion. I love the look. I love the helmed skull. I love that pretty much their entire Legion ethos is, no matter what, we're coming for you and we're going to get you, no matter how long it takes and what we got to go through.
They're kind of like the Death Corps of Krieg of Marine.
In several ways, they kind of are. Trench warfare is always fun.
They're just like, oh, we got 3 more months of shelling. We're good. We'll keep doing it.
Don't worry, we can shoot more, and when that runs out, we've got another ammo dump waiting right beside it.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's Duncan's short and sweet version of the Iron Warriors lore. Yes, there's a lot more to it, and yes, I could sit here and pull up Lexicon and tell people about them, and I could cite how Perturabo smacked Angron and made him go back to the actual siege and do his job, and brought him to Horus so that he could participate in the siege. I could talk about how he's got special flyers, about how he has the hammer that once belonged to Ferrus Manus. I could talk about all kinds of things, but I'd rather that people who are listening, who actually enjoy their fluff, look it up themselves, read it themselves, rather than me sit here and read you all of the background on the Legion that if you're already playing, you probably know and you probably enjoy just as much as I do.
They were fun. I've built a couple of them for Toys for Tots. They're fun armies to build. I mean, they're not. Yeah,
they're very differently built for at the tabletop compared to most other Legions. I mean, most of the Legions, they'll focus on something that's not giant piles of artillery shelling people to death.
Right.
And like I said,
or like
War One, so it kind of appealed to me. So,
or like short range siege tanks, basically like huge guns that only go like like half the distance of what most people would normally do, but it's like a pie plate template. So
yeah. But
like, that squad's gone. Squad's gone.
But if we're gonna have a short and sweet one, it's a good one to have.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything to say? Jack, any topics you'd like to bring up about the Iron Warriors?
I really like the Iron Circle.
They're cool.
A lot.
The bots.
Yep.
The bots are fantastic.
I wish that I will say, when I have seen many Iron Warrior players play, that I don't think I have ever seen Iron Circle bots on the table.
Jack has, I think, 3. I've got 1 or 2.
I mean, I know that people have them. I mean, I know another one of my Iron Warriors friends, when he was in the military, he had me order them and send them to him in Iraq to paint when he was deployed. And I'm just saying, when I have seen Iron Warrior players play like at Adepticon and stuff like that and other events, I've never seen one of those on the table.
So the reason I never bought them is because they were cost prohibitive.
Oh yeah, they're expensive.
And I'm not talking about the cost from Forge World. I'm talking about
Points.
It was like 300 points per one last edition. And to me, that just meant 300 points that I wasn't spending on more guns.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really feel like doing it. This edition, they're a little bit cheaper, a little bit different. They don't work quite the same way. I mean, they're not bad, but the generic list you're going to see is probably going to include Iron Havocs for ballistic skill 5 last cannons. You're going to see maybe some Dominators, which are the Thunderhammer bodyguard that Perturabo had, who when he stopped trusting Marines, he made his robots. These were his original bodyguard unit, and they're just a bunch of angry at robot guys with Thunderhammers and bolters. And they're a fun unit to play. They're in the expanded battles, or extraordinary battles, or whatever they're called. Exemplary battles.
Exemplary.
Yeah, they weren't in the first edition. They were in the second. And then you'll see the giant pile of players who have, like myself, the Siege Tyrants, guys who last edition had Cyclone missile launchers, and this edition have the Tyrant missiles, which are pretty much a slightly shorter range version, but do the same thing.
I call them bad Fulminatars.
They get more shots than Fulminatars do, but they don't get brutal.
Better quality shots?
It depends on what you're shooting, because since I can't shoot Fulminatars since I don't have an Ultramarines army, to me, yes, they're much better quality. And that's all that matters to me. But like I said, they're a fun Legion. They're a flavorful Legion. In the fluff, they've got they've got a lot of guys who did not go and say, yes, I will follow Perturabo into Chaos, into Heresy, like Barbaros D'Antioch or Keir Valen, who was the warlord I played constantly. And Barbaros D'Antioch is the guy who destroyed an Imperator Titan by dropping it into a lava field because he could, and then decided to take a ship away from his opponent because, well, he needed a ship because he had lost his fortress on whatever that planet was. And like I said, they're fun, they're flavorful, they're not your generic run-of-the-mill, hey, I'm going to run charging at you inside of my whatever to get up and close to hand-to-hand combat. It's more along the lines of, come at me, bro. I've got all the guns. But there you go. Completed version of Duncan's short and sweet Iron Warriors. Play them. They're fun. Just shoot the Ultramarines first.
Nobody likes that.
Of course not. Except for the people who like shooting at Ultramarines, of which I count myself one.
Wow.
John, any thoughts?
No, good. I think that Iron Warriors are definitely an interesting Legion. One of the few that has actually made me pause and think more about wanting to play them other than Ultramarines. So I appreciate your insights into them and going forward.
Cool. I think that's about all I had on them. That's about all I have tonight.
Sure.
There's one thing I would really like to see done for their Legion, and that is I would really like to see a generic Praetor put out by GW/Forge World for them in Terminator armor or power armor, either one. Because right now all they have is Narek Drager, who you can never get hold of, Perturabo, and the Siege Tyrants. They don't have a single character model that they put out, so everybody pretty much uses the generic Praetor models. And it's been more than 10 years that we've been playing Heresy. Please give me something so I can go back to working on the Legion of my youth.
So that leads me to a question, sir. Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm making all the characters from this one book. Is there any characters in Iron Warriors that you would like to see models for? Like any named characters?
Yeah, I'd love to see an actual model for Keir Valen. I don't think they'll ever do it. I'd love to see a model for Forex. I'd love to see a model for Barbaros D'Antioch, even though he's dead and before the Heresy even got halfway through. And I hate to say this, but I'd like to see a model for Kroger if they're going to include him in the fluff as much as they'd have. I'd like to see him to be able to put him on the tabletop and run him screaming forward with a band of dominators and
I do have
just
the one
see what he
model
can
that
smack.
they put out for the Warsmith versus Uriel Ventress. Where's eyes?
Hansu?
Yeah, Hansu. Where's eyes hanging out of his head?
So Hansu's
He's a fist. He's a convert.
Hansu's got a lot of weirdness to him.
Yep.
So there's a character called Honorable Sulaka in the Iron Warriors during the Heresy, and he dies aboard one of the Emperor's Children's ships on the way into the warp, or in the way into the Eye of Terra during the Angel Exterminatus. And his gene seed is harvested by everybody's favorite clone lord, Fabulous Bile, who they end up writing. He writes on the actual gene seed container, Honorable Sulaka and all this. But during fighting with the Shattered Legions, the gene seed container gets partly damaged and is recovered, and all it says on it is HON, and then on the bottom SOU. So while Hansu is supposedly made by, or is supposedly carrying Imperial Fist gene seed, possibility exists that Hansu has actually got pure Iron Warrior gene seed in 40K. But Hansu is also in 40K, not in 30K.
Yep.
But yeah.
But he did get a model. I mean, it was limited edition. It came with a Uriel Ventress diorama. His eyes hanging out of his head. It's a little weird, but
yeah, I never got that one. Kind of missed it. Kind of wish I had, but it's okay because it came with an Ultramarine, and I don't need to give them any more reasons to another person buying Ultramarine stuff.
To be better, we get it. We get it. Best Legion.
I mean, you all say that, but you didn't even fight on Terra.
Logistics wins wars, so I think we won the entire heresy. It's good.
I mean, you can think that. I personally think that the Ultramarines just were taking advantage of being late and waiting to see who actually won. I mean, they did already. I mean, they were more traitors than anybody else because they went off and founded their own empire and their own Imperium.
I have no room to talk in either side of this fight, so.
I mean, if Horus himself said we need to get done before the Ultramarines get here, because then we'll be really screwed. And I apologize to Jacob because I'm the one cursing this time, not Duncan. I don't know why. It's Duncan's episode.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine not cursing tonight, sir. I don't need to. I have you.
Yep. All right. So I say we land this pig.
We can do that. I got no objection to that. Anything coming up soon that we're all looking forward to other than the previews and seeing what they may actually drop for us?
I'm really, like you pointed out, that the militia might be coming soon. I would love it to be able to figure out what I need to add to my militia to make them second legal. My main goal, though, is trying to get the Knights and all that Ultramarines armor finished for Warzone Houston in September. Like I said last time, Michael from God Engine Cast and a couple others has said that he's going to be there, and so I definitely look forward to playing some old friends and new friends down there. And I've got all the way till September to get it done, so I think that's enough lead time. I just need to get my diorama paints delivered and get everything firing on all cylinders. But I guess we can go around the horn and, what does everyone think that our big requires some landing room announcement is going to be for Warhammer Fest? What big heresy reveals do we think is coming?
Let's start off with Jack on that one.
Oh God, me?
Yeah, you. I just talked long enough. Your turn.
Plastic Thunderhawk, because that's a joke that has grown old, but will still be brought up roughly every 6 to 8 months. See here. Obviously, they're probably going to release the updated kits for the new sprues for the Javelin and the Fellblade and the Falchion. That will be part there. We'll see more from the new campaign book with the was it Decurions? Is that what they're called?
Yeah,
the tank commanders.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see that. We'll see. try to be very realistic now. Probably see not only the plastic kit for the special Imperial Fist, Special Sons of Horus, but the generic one. We'll see a lot of upgrade stuff to different stuff. I think the thing that they're going to be beating the band on with it is probably going to be just shooting for the sky, for sky. Probably Mark 6 Assault Marines.
Okay,
that's the biggest thing that I think. Not being negative, I'm not being negative, but I think that they're feeling like that is going to be the big landing for the heresy because of all of the flack that they have gotten over the lack of infantry models coming out. So I think that's going to be their big.
One other thing.
I wouldn't object to that.
Yep.
I wouldn't object to that at all.
What about you, Duncan?
I'm like you in some ways. I think that we're probably going to see the resculpts done for the sponsons, Volkites, etc., for the javelins, for the fell blade, etc. I'm really kind of hoping for Assault Marines in Mark 6. I'm not certain if it'll happen, but I definitely wouldn't object if they did. Or maybe Mark 3, Mark 4 Assault Marines. Either way, not going to be upset by whatever we get there. If we end up getting them. If not, I'll just keep building on my own as I do. But what I'm really hoping is for them to announce the release date for the Siege of Chthoniya, because I really want to get my hands on that book. And I'm also hoping they'll announce a couple of the various other legions Praetors being dropped, because that would really, really, really make me happy. There's just so many different ones that could come out still that if I saw those, I would dance for joy and rush out and wave my wallet at GW and be like, take all my money, more than you already do. But that's me.
Ideally speaking, I would like to see the stuff that the last few missing pieces that I'm sure players out there are waiting for. Demon, the official rule for demons, militia, Shattered Legion, Black Shields. I would love to see that stuff.
Okay. I'd love to see some of that included in the campaign book. I don't know if we will. I don't know if we won't. Either way, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie?
So, realistically wise, they'll probably put release dates out or flush out the rules on the stuff they've already previewed. They'll probably go a bit more into units from the new campaign book, and maybe even give us a date. I don't know, or at least like a quarter or late summer, early fall type deal for the book. I don't know if they're going to release the book like basically the 1 year anniversary of 2.0, because that's kind of about the same time 10th is coming out. So I think it's going to get pushed, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm just being realistic from how like GW does their release schedules. They kind of, especially with 10th edition, they're going to push that for at least a month or two really hard.
Yeah.
So, and that's usually they do the huge releases like last year. Actually, Horus Heresy was a huge release for GW. They usually do it at the flip of their fiscal year, which is not when most other companies do their fiscal year. They do it like, I think it's June, July is their flip or something like that, or May to June, versus a lot of companies do like September to October or January, December to January, which is a little weird, but that's how they do that. They usually have a huge release at the beginning of their fiscal year. So I think that'll be 10th, and then they'll probably, my guess is that the campaign book will be in the fall, like early fall, like September-ish, maybe.
I can see that.
Pie in the sky, I'd love them to do a new box with the campaign book, like a big box. Do I actually think that's going to happen? Probably not. I mean, it would be like Assault Marines or Despoilers for the troops. Probably with the way they've been going, I would say it's going to be Mark 6s. I would love to see Mark 2s because we don't have a plastic Mark 2. But I don't think they will do that because they've already done all the pads kind of for Mark 6s and all the Legion upgrades. So they'd probably stick with the Mark 6s. then they would probably maybe like a plastic Dorado would be incredible. Because just like finish out the the dreadnoughts that they have, and then which I thought, plastic Dorado, and then since we're getting all those tank commanders from in the new campaign book, they're probably going to release the remaining the last couple Circarians variants that we don't have in plastic, I would assume.
The Omega,
the Arquois.
Yep.
The Punisher, and then the plasma fuel cell or whatever they call it, the
Omega,
yeah.
Yep.
So that would be very logical. Then you also, I think they already announced it. I think they said they were going to do an upgraded Rhino, Damocles Command Rhino for Forge World, like for the new kit.
Yeah.
So you may actually get to see a picture of it. I mean, it's basically just the roof and the radar dish. But
I'd dig seeing that. I would dig seeing that.
That would be an easy reach, because then they will have knocked out all the Rhinos and all the Circarians.
Yep.
At that point, there are rumors, especially from like kind of grayed out pictures from what they released at Adepticon, that there is another big tank coming for the Marines. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it could be. There was some speculation that there is a tank a troop carrying tank based off the Kratos hull. So that, if that is the case, that would be interesting. But that would be kind of like pie in the sky for me. But yes, I would love to see some concrete info on the demons and militia and black shields, just because I know those players are all hurting very much, and I don't like seeing people disappointed in their hobby like that.
I hear you there.
I really would be awesome if everybody got everything up front, but it is what it is at this point. So any way we can help those players at this point would be awesome.
Agreed. Again, I just want to see more people playing more fun stuff.
Yeah, and I have like people here that are actively trying to get like a league going, and so the more and a lot of people are interested in trying to get into it. I guess because they're a little downtrodden from 9th edition going to 10th edition so quickly. So,
well, that happens.
The militia using all of the new plastic guard releases,
that would be very good. I mean, an easy reach.
Yeah,
maybe throw it a couple HQs or something like that to go with them.
Yeah, if they did some customizations, like some of the fan made rules were things like all mounted and things like that, would be really, really cool. If we get all that and a bag of chips, basically, for militia release, I think it'd be worth the wait. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope, we'll see what comes out. We'll see what happens. But I think overall, we're nearly a year into Heresy. We do know that there's issues, but at the same time, we know that there is still a good game here at the bottom of all this.
There's a phenomenal game at the bottom of all this.
Yeah, I mean, just if you go by the numbers at Adepticon from year to year turnover, I mean, it was huge.
Yeah, every event that I've gone to is either sold out or nearly sold out and just have come back out. So it will actually absolutely be a blast coming into the rest of 2023 and into 2024. So I look forward to seeing what will happen.
There's another anniversary coming up that we know about, and that's ours.
Yeah.
We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary of being an actual podcast. And I know we're going to do something to celebrate that somehow.
Something about something, do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
With giveaways?
Yeah, I think we have. I'm not certain quite what we have to give away yet, but I know for a fact we have a few giveaways we are going to be doing. And I'm looking forward to doing them.
I know I was quite busy picking up stuff.
Yeah. I think we've all been kind of busy getting stuff for it.
I might have been doing a lot of research into some paint schemes and some things like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm personally really looking forward to seeing what we come up with as a whole, as a group, and going from there. And there's my computer fan acting wonky again. Sorry if anybody heard me having to smack the computer.
Nah, it's fine. So, gentlemen, I appreciate your time tonight. I think it's definitely important to stay accountable to yourself and to your buddies. And my name is John. Tonight I've been joined by
Duncan.
Jack.
Jamie.
and with only 4 people, we finally got that closing correctly done. So I appreciate everyone's time tonight, and y'all have a great night. Thank you.